Hello everyone. In this session we shall discuss about this wonderful concept called functions. So we will discuss all the basics of this concept and how to use this feature in the C programming language. Actually, this functions concept is very important in almost all the programming languages. Not only C, even in C++ or Java, or you take any programming language, this function concept will appear in some way or other. Here I will demonstrate using an example what this concept is. Actually, what is a program? Program, it performs some operations on the data. A program is a set of instructions. We instruct the computer to perform operations on the data. So, a program is a set of instructions. We can call a function also a set of instructions. Ultimately, a function performs a set of operations on some data. Okay, an instruction performs operation on data. A set of instructions, we can call it as a function or a program. Generally, a program will be a collection of functions. Sometimes a program will have only one function called the main function. I'm talking about C programming language. So here in this program, what is the purpose of this program? To find the sum of all odd numbers below 50. We know what an odd number is, correct? The function, the program execution, it starts here. You're calling the function odd sum. Okay, so odd sum is a function. It will have some set of instructions, and that odd sum function will find the sum of all the odd numbers below 50. So here I am calling the function, that's why I have written the comment here, function call, or you are calling the function. The control will go here. You are declaring two variables, I and sum. Initial value of sum is 0. You are using a for loop. This for loop will execute for 50 times. You don't have any break or continue inside the loop, so it will execute for 50 times. Each time you are taking a natural number, from 1 to 50 you are taking the natural numbers, and you are checking if the number is even or odd. If I%2, percent is a reminder operator, if I%2 is 0, then it is an even number. If it is not 0, then it will be 1 for the odd number. Okay, so if it is an odd number, then you are adding that value of I to sum. Initial value of sum is 0. So we know how this operation takes place. We have already discussed that in one of our previous sessions. So sum is calculated here. Once you come out of the for loop, you will have the sum of the odd numbers below 50. Now you are once again calling a function display. This is odd sum and display are user defined functions or programmer defined functions. We are writing those functions. We are writing the set of instructions under those functions. So here you're sending sum, which is a variable, to display function. In the display function, you are reading that value. You are receiving the value of sum. This total will receive the value of sum. And you are printing the sum of odd numbers below 50 is %d. That means an integer, and that value is stored in total. So once the display function is executed, the control will go back to the function call. Okay, there are three things here. One is the calling function. Odd sum is the calling function because it is calling display function. And the second thing is display sum. This is the function call. This is exactly the moment where the control will go to the next function. The control will go to the given function. The given function is display here. And the third thing is the called function, the display function, the definition of the display function. So there is a calling function, there is called function definition, and there is a function call. Of course, there is one more thing, and that is a function prototype or function declaration. Okay, this resembles variable declaration. If you declare a variable, generally you mention the data type of the variable. Here, when you declare a function, when you write the prototype of the function, you specify the return type. If the return type is void, the function is not returning anything to the calling function. Whatever work is assigned to the called function will perform that work within itself, and it won't return any value. So here both user defined functions, odd sum and display, they don't return any value. Is that clear? Fine. Now the control will go back to this point. After that, odd sum will also terminate. The control will go back to this point, and the main function will also be terminated. Okay, so we discussed about function prototype or function declaration, function call, called function definition. These are the things we have discussed: function declaration, function definition, calling function, called function. These are the terms. Now I have already discussed these things. I just gave it for your reference. So when the main function calls odd sum function, main function will be the calling function and odd sum will be the called function. Okay, so we'll go to the next program. In this program, I am demonstrating the passing of arguments. In the previous program itself, I have done that. I have passed the value of sum from the odd sum to the display function. I want to display the value of sum. For that purpose, I have called display function. I have passed the sum variable. In the display function, I received that value using total variable. Here I have my program. I am demonstrating a very important concept here. What will happen to the value of the variable in the called function? If I increment or decrement or modify the value in the called function, will it affect the original variable in the calling function? Here the calling function is main, called function is increment. In the calling function, I have num value. I am printing the num value, that is 5. After printing, I am sending that num variable to increment function. Here also I am using the same name called num, and you are incrementing num. So here the num is 5, so num will become 6, and you are printing 6 here, and the control will go back to the point where you called that function. Now in the printf, you are once again trying to print the value of num. Will it be 5 or 6? Here it became 6. Here will it be 5 or 6? Actually it will be 5. It will not be 6, because the num variable here, this belongs to the increment function. This is a different variable. This is a different memory location, and this num variable is different. This num variable belongs to the main function, and this num variable belongs to the increment function. Both are different. If you modify this num variable, this num variable will not be affected. Okay, so this is also called calling by value. Call by value. Call by value means you are passing a copy of the variable to the called function. In the called function, whatever modifications you do to the variable won't be affected. It won't affect the variable in the calling function. This is called calling a function by value. Okay, so this is the explanation here. Called function will create its own copy of the variables passed from the calling function. If you still have any doubts about this, I will be demonstrating these two programs in my next session. Please go through that. Thank you so much.